So, Animal Farm, fantastic story, really good story.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they just threw fart jokes into it. Yeah. They just randomly threw fart jokes into Animal Farm. Because
Can I ask you a question? Isn't this the third iteration of this now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not overly sure, to be honest. I don't think it really matters, though. To be honest, I mean, Yeah, I don't get it. I don't really understand why, or what happened. But basically, Andy Serkis, who best known for Gollum, quite frankly, he's just best known for Gollum, isn't he? So he did an adaptation of Animal Farm, and that premiered at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival. And the initial reaction was like, "What? What?" Because basically there's a family-friendly element to it. So the animated feature, which adapts George Orwell's 1945 novella for a younger audience, takes notable liberties with its tone. Orwell's original told a grim allegory of political manipulation and the cycle of tyranny. Serkis's version leans heavily into family-friendly storytelling, with critics noting an unexpected abundance of fart jokes. Yeah. I really it's one of those things, isn't it, where you just go, is nothing sacred? Is not saying this is obviously sacred, but you know, the phrase works here, doesn't it? Is nothing sacred here, honestly. So World of Real reported audience reception was underwhelmed, with many left puzzled by the decisions to inject juvenile humor into one of literature's most sobering cautionary tales. Variety also said, quote, "The message feels muddled amid all the pratfalls and fart jokes," and questioned whether the film's broader accessibility comes at the cost of Orwell's original intent. I mean, it's just not Orwell, is it then, at that point, right? It's just not. That's just fundamentally not what it is. This is... it's not Animal Farm, is it? It's just... I don't know. It's Animal Farm with animals, I guess. It's just an inversion of what it should be. In an interview with Variety, Serkis defended his adaptation because he's an imbecile, and argued that animation allowed for emotional accessibility while still honoring the heart of the story. I remember an animated Animal Farm from back in the day, and I mean, that had a lot of emotion. It was brutal to watch. I remember it. So not quite sure what he means by that, because animation's been around for quite a long time, and there's been one before that was animated, so that I specifically remember. So he says this: "We did not make this film for any algorithm. We made it because we feel this is the right way to tell a story." Ah, yes. Fart jokes, George Orwell. Yes. So it wasn't always going to be animated. Serkis initially developed Animal Farm as a performance capture live-action film dating back to the early 2010s when he was working on Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But after years of experimentation, he and his team concluded that animation would better suit the story's fable-like qualities and offer greater flexibility in tone. It also looks like shit, to be fair. So maybe it's because they just cheaped out. Because, I mean, this looks like, I don't know, like early 2000s PC game graphics. It's pretty bad. So I would say it's that, to be fair. Just cheaping out, balancing innocence and darkness. So Orwell's Animal Farm, it was never just about talking animals, obviously. You know, it's pretty brutal. I don't understand. So Serkis says it actually asks them to put themselves in the central character's position. That was a big decision on my part. By having fart jokes. So he thinks this is going to resonate with younger generations more than the original classic. Right. Anyway, I don't have much else to say on this. This is terrible. And I saved this specifically for you, Bo, because I thought you would find this enthralling to respond to. So respond.
Okay, well, this is literally the first time hearing of it. So Loads of things to say, I guess. So I know loads about Animal Farm. I've read it a number of times. Yeah, seen the animated thing a couple of times, good few times. I actually made a couple of bits of content about it like 3 years ago with Connor. One of the few bits of content I made with Connor, we went through almost line by line literary criticism of Animal Farm. And Orwell is one of my favorite authors. I mean, even though he was a leftist, really, if you're of the dissident right, you have to be familiar with 1984 and Animal Farm. But I just have read loads of Orwell. On top of that, Homage to Catalonia is a very, very interesting book. Down and Out in Paris in London is brilliant. I've read Burmese Days, Road to Wigan Pier, Coming Up for Air is great. Anyway, I've read loads and loads of Orwell, and of course I know Animal Farm inside out. And yeah, where it's described there as sort of a dark cautionary tale, yeah, absolutely. The whole thing is an allegory for why communism fails, or not all tyrannies really, but particularly communism. George Orwell was extremely disenchanted by, specifically, Stalinism. He went and fought for Marxists in Spain in the Spanish Civil War in the 30s. That's how much of a leftist he was. He actually fought for leftism in Spain. But certainly after World War II, he didn't live that long after World War II, but by the 30s, by the late 30s, he was completely disenchanted with the Soviet project. And I mean, Animal Farm, the allegory there, the pigs, the main pig, Snowball, Napoleon, these are all metaphors for like Lenin and Stalin and other people like Zinoviev and Kamenev. And it's a very, very, very adult, dark story that just happens to be told through the allegory of animals in a farm. Extremely grown up and extremely serious at its core. So to turn it into a child-friendly thing with fart jokes is that's insane to me. That's sort of insane. It's like making a child-friendly Schindler's List or something. Like it's the wrong vehicle to attempt that with. Completely the wrong thing. It's about specifically communism, but also just tyranny of all types. I mean, the fact that one of the main pigs is called Napoleon, descended from subverted a revolution and turned it into an absolute monarchy. There's many, many, many layers to Animal Farm. It's actually a really, really deep, and as I say, a complex, grown-up thing to actually really grasp it fully. So yeah, it's the only thing I can think of is that he's deliberately done it because Animal Farm, along with 1984, is known as a piece of literature which criticizes the left. Like at its core, it digs at socialism, leftism, communism. At its very, very core, it strikes at it. So, so to subvert that and turn it into something silly. Well, I didn't know Andy Serkis was that much of a pervert. If he's done that deliberately, like who would do that? Honestly, I'm thinking who would do that? It's like, again, it's a bit like taking 1984 and taking all the darkness and horribleness out of it and making it child friendly. It doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Making 1984 look like a fairy tale future that you definitely want to have. Like, right? Yeah. No.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Now, one last thing I would say before Culture says something, or you want to speak again. I would say anyone who hasn't read it, the original novel, it's not even very long. It's pretty short, to be honest. Go and read it or listen to it on audiobook. It's probably only 2 or 3 hours long on audiobook. It's not very long at all. Go and listen to it or read it and read around it so you get what's being said. It's not just a story about a horse and some pigs. There's much, much more to it than that. And you will be richer for it. And I guess swerve this Andy Serkis nonsense.
Oh yeah, no, definitely don't watch.
Yeah, to be fair, the only way to actually make this work is to do it through animation. And I would have not done it with 3D animation. I would have done it with hand-drawn animation. I would have also delivered the message the same way the storybook does, because otherwise you're basically saying that we have a failed education system and teenagers that are likely to be reading this, which I was in my teens the first time I had my hands on this. They can't process this anymore because our educational system is failing. Well, it is. That's why we're getting rid of the Department of Education here in the States, because they completely suck ass. Regardless, that's the only way to make this happen, because you have animals talking.
Well, yeah.
And what I really enjoyed about the literature was that it was pretty straightforward and very clear. And I think you're right. Making this the way that they did probably isn't doing it very well. Again, I think this is at least the second or third version of this.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I don't know how many.
It's at least the third. But yeah, I mean, it goes into just thinking about it now. Like the other farmers are meant to be other great nations, and it's making commentary about capitalism. It's making it's a commentary on. The farmer is the czar, right? The farmer's the czar that they overthrow. I mean, it is really, really deep and it's sort of an extremely serious thing. This is sort of blowing my mind. Well,
is it possible? Is it possible that he exchanged the idea of satire for like that kind of crude humor?
What do you mean, Terry? What do you mean?
Well, because the book is satirical in nature for the most part, right?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, not necessarily satirical. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's more allegory.
Kind of the wrong.
Okay, perhaps I'm using the wrong adjective, but regardless, I just remember reading this as a teenager, and the message was not lost on me. Let's say, so, and I mean, I haven't seen any of this. Maybe in context, it would make more sense, but I
don't think any of that. Yeah, I don't think there's a way it would make sense, quite frankly. Also, hey, Dave Cullen is in the chat. The great Dave Cullen of computing. Dave Cullen show, Computing Forever. I don't know if he's still doing the Computing Forever, but nice to see you, dude. Hope you're well. You're more than welcome on at any point as well, by the way, dude. Got to say these things where they're here every now and then. Yeah, I mean, this is just a complete joke, obviously. Like, it's mass subversion of the original brutal story. And I think you're right, Bo, when you say that it's, Orwell and his criticism of the left, the sort of extreme left anyway. I'd say it's a sort of a subversion of that. I think that's pretty clear, quite frankly. It makes sense to me. It's a weird thing to do otherwise. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense, like why you would do it. I think you're right as well, Culture. You would I'm not going to watch it, but I think you would have to watch it to see what the sort of intent is behind it. But I don't think the intent is worth the view remotely, quite frankly.
There's loads of it. I don't know how you could make it child friendly as well. I mean, there's the character of Squealer, one of the pigs, who's basically like the propaganda arm of the party, and there's no way to sort of make that nice or child friendly or whatever. Or the death of Boxer, he's like an allegory for sort of the peasant, the way that the Soviets murdered loads of kulaks, peasants that have got a little bit of money that resist being collectivized into collective farms. Stalin's murder of a lot of them. How do you and Boxer's led away to be slaughtered? What? How do you? I don't know. I'll probably actually, if this ever comes on TV, I actually will watch it just to see, like, how are you gonna deal with some of the themes in this. Don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, Seth Rogen's involved in this, and this is his
Oh.
jam. Isn't he? He loves all of this shit.
Yeah, he's a
You
douche.
know, he thinks like LA is one of the best places with no crime and blah blah blah, and yeah.
Yeah, and yet you have to leave your trunk open and your windows rolled down so, you know, people don't destroy your car trying to steal your shit. He's such a douche.
Yeah, this is mad. This is absolutely mad to me. Yeah, it's dumb. Like it's pretty insane. Just I thought an interesting one to cover though. If you've not watched Animal Farm, I don't know if it is the original. I'm pretty certain I've watched the original animation. Watch that, and also, as Bo said, listen to it, read it. It is brutal. It's it's pretty brutal,
and if
in the best way. Like it's worth watching or reading / listening to.
And if you want to understand the world around you now, read 1984.
Well, yeah. Well, and also Animal Farm, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Yeah, sure to put a smile on your face. Anyway, let's shuffle on. Just a nice little intro there.